Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's devotional. I've got my Maui t-shirt on to fend off the bad weather. You think that'll work? I don't know if it will. Please, if you've got some anything you need with the bad weather coming your way, please let us know. We've got snow coming. We've got cold air coming at least through Sunday. Sunday, we remain on track to have our services at 10:30. If anything changes there, we will let you know. But I'm going to be out of town this evening on some family events, and uh, Bruce is going to be out of town next week. So we are especially glad to post a devotion for everybody today, since we won't be having services tonight, no choir tonight, and no Wednesday night services next week. So just something a little to do today. And I've got a few people that are joining me live already. So good morning. Glad you can join us. This is a glorious folder right here that you see, because it's the last set of papers that I have to grade before next semester. I have all break to do it. Grades aren't due until at the end of the first week in January. So I could wait to the last possible minute, but I like getting all this done so I can enjoy the rest of break. I don't like procrastinating with grading papers. There were about 6 or 7 folders like this, so I'm down to one. And I wonder if I look through this, we've got some Venn diagrams here and some quizzes here. I wonder, as I look through this, how many students would have gone about their homework with the same strategy. I wonder if they spent a lot of time studying, if they spent a lot of time preparing, or if they just kind of threw some things together at the last minute. We'll see. Today is an interesting kind of day, because I think with my papers, I do a lot better than I do my Christmas shopping. And if any guys are watching today, maybe they can identify. And here's the problem with procrastinating with Christmas shopping. You never know when a big snowstorm is going to come through. So really, in reality, we could have tomorrow, we could have Friday to get ready, and we start opening presents in our family Saturday night. So in reality, on a normal year, I would have 3 more whole days to do Christmas shopping. But if you procrastinate, you never know what might happen. So with the winter storm coming, I only have 1 day really left to get in, get what we need, and before we get snowed in on everything. It's interesting how people, if you wait to the last minute on things, what's really important doesn't sometimes get done. And Jesus told a story about this. In Luke chapter 12, verse 13, he said, "Then someone called from the crowd, 'Teacher, please tell my brother to divide our father's estate with me.' And Jesus replied, 'Well, friend, who made me a judge over you to decide such things as that?' Well, then he said, 'Beware, guard against every kind of greed. Life is not measured by how much you own.'" Then Jesus told them a story, and I thought this story was interesting. A rich man had a fertile farm that produced fine crops. He said to himself, "What should I do? I don't have room for all my crops." Then he said, "I know. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I'll have room enough to store my wheat and other goods, and I'll sit back and say to myself, 'My friend, you have enough stored away for years to come. Now take it easy, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, you will die this very night. Then who will get everything you worked for?' Yes, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth, but not have a rich relationship with God." Now, what does that have to do with procrastinating? And here's what I think it means. Here you have a man, Jesus said, that had a problem. He didn't have enough room for all the stuff that he wanted to do. So he had to sit down, tear down his barns, get bigger barns, and then he says, "I'll have enough room." And then he says, "I'll sit back and say to myself, oh, then I have it made." What's interesting in this story, if we read it carefully, Jesus never says the man got to that point. He just wanted to base his life on getting to that point. Working, doing everything to build up all of these riches so he could sit back one day and take it easy. At no point in this story does Jesus refer to what he might had to have said, let's say, to his wife who was waiting for him at dinner at home, or the kids that needed help with their homework. In all those situations, he'd have to say, well, guys, not right now. I got to tear down this barn. I got to build a bigger one. Maybe he told himself to make himself feel better. After all, this is why I'm doing all of that. I'm going to work really hard today. I may not be able to spend time with my kids today. I may not be able to spend time with my wife today. I may not be able to do those things today, but here's what's really important. To build up this nest egg, to work really hard, to earn all that money, then our whole family will be glad later. Have you heard that story before? People convincing themselves that this is the most important thing to do right now, when in reality, it really wasn't. Isn't it interesting how we put off the most important things in exchange for doing things that aren't that important? That's why Jesus said this person was a fool. He spent all this time working, maybe never really even getting to that point where everything was okay and he could sit back and tell himself, now I can eat, drink, and be merry. Maybe he never would have reached that point. But in the meantime, Jesus says, he was a fool because he based his life on things that were temporary. He never thought about what would happen when it was time for him to leave this earth. And then Jesus says, who gets everything that you worked for? So he had all these earthly accomplishments, but he neglected the things that were most important. Because here are things you don't want to procrastinate. As Jesus said, verse 21, you don't want to procrastinate your relationship with God. There are decisions today that we need to make while we're here on this earth, to have a relationship with Him, to follow the things that He tells us. When God says our time on earth is done, then it's too late to make those decisions. It was interesting, the context of where this story was told. Someone came to Jesus and said, I'm fighting with my brother over this money. And isn't it interesting that Jesus told this story about how money is not as important with relationships? I wonder if Jesus was trying to tell him, you know what, the money you guys are fighting over is not going to last as long as the relationship you have together. But this gentleman came to Jesus, cared more about the money than he did his relationship with his brother. And again, relationships on this earth are the only thing that'll last forever. Our relationship with each other and our relationship with God. How many times do we procrastinate? Well, God's always there for me. And sometimes I think we say, well, our family's always there for us. We'll let them wait, and now we've got to do all of this work. Christmas time is interesting because it kind of makes us take time off to spend with our family. And then we scramble at the last minute and we realize, we're not prepared. Then a snowstorm comes in and makes us realize, we're not prepared. Because like today, I'm not prepared for a snowstorm. I've got to go get gloves and a hat and scrapers and salt. And I think we need a new shovel. And all that has to be done today. What is the most important thing that you need to do today for eternity? What are you going to give priority to? And what do you say, you know what, that can wait until later? I hope that our relationships, the most important things that it takes to prepare for what's coming and what matters is what we'll do today. And the frivolous things that we often preoccupy our life with, if we can just let those things wait until later. I hope at Christmas time, this is a great time where you can say, where am I at with my relationships? What do I need to work on with my relationship with God? What do I need to work on with the relationships for the people that I'm going to be handing a gift to? We'll scramble at the last minute to hand them a pair of socks that maybe they won't need. And maybe what we really need to be thinking of, besides handing this person a gift, what are other things I really need to do to make my relationship better with that person? Because if we're both Christians, we'll be spending eternity together with that person. So what can I work on with my relationships today? What's important? Is there forgiveness that I need to ask for? That's not something you want to procrastinate. Is there a way I really need to be praying for that person? That's not something that we want to procrastinate. Is there forgiveness that I need to offer other people? That's not something we need to procrastinate. Is there something I need to tell that person about how special they are to me? Again, that's not something we need to procrastinate. Are we letting the most important things wait while we fill our work life with busyness, success, earning money, all those other things? Because if we let the most important things wait while we do everything else, Jesus would say that's a foolish way to spend Christmas. So if you're watching this, maybe we need to get out there and do some shopping. Maybe we need to go out there and get some shovels and scarves and mittens. And maybe we can tell ourselves, this was all something we could have done last week or the week before. Maybe we can make a mental note to do it differently next year. But the most important thing is maybe we can reflect today. Since we might be snowed in tomorrow, it's a great time to make some phone calls, to check up on people with more than just seeing how they're doing with the weather, but just seeing how your relationships are doing in general. Spend some time the next few days on the things that will matter for forever. Spend some time in your Bible. Don't put that off. Spend some time calling others and just having some good conversations with them. Don't put that off. Find the things that will matter for eternity, because Jesus says that's where our real priorities should be, with the relationships we have for each other. Well, you know what I have to do today? I've got to do all those things that I put off until today, and hopefully it won't be too late. Don't wait on the things that are important in your life today either. Have a great night. We look forward to seeing everybody 10:30 on Sunday. If weather interferes with that for any reason, we will be letting people know. So stay close to your phones and text messages. We'll certainly get that out to everyone, and certainly wish everybody safety with what's to come. If there's somebody that we need to be checking on, send us a message here. Send me a message on my text. Leave a message at the church. Even though we're not there at the building, we can still get messages here remotely. So if all else fails, you can call the church and leave a message. We'll get it. And we'll be glad to check in on anybody that needs to be checked in on here in the next few days. So stay safe, stay warm, and the storm's coming. Are we ready? Are we prepared? Don't put it off until it's too late. Okay, bye guys. We hope everybody's happy to be doing well in the next few days.